You can educate ignorance, but you can't fix stupid. Watch this. Obama, I will read some facts about your past and policies, and all you're allowed to say is, liberals and idiots ignored this fact. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, here we go. When you wrote a book claiming you were mentored as a youth by Frank Marshall Davis, an avowed communist. Well.
Oh. Sorry, liberals and idiots ignored this fact. Almost messed it up.
Almost. When you discovered your grandparents were strong socialists who sent your mother to a socialist school where she was introduced to Frank Marshall Davis and later introduced to you.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When people found out your father and stepfather were both Muslims and you were enrolled in a Muslim school.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you claimed in a book you authored, I will stand with Islam when the political winds shift in an ugly direction.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you admitted in this same book, you chose Marxist friends and professors in college.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you traveled to Pakistan after college on an unknown national passport.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you sought the endorsement of the Marxist Party in 1996 while running for Illinois State Senator.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you sat in a Chicago church for 20 years listening to a preacher spew hatred for America and preach black liberation theology.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When an independent Washington organization tracking senators' voting records gave you the distinctive title as the most liberal senator.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When Palestinians in Gaza held a fundraising telethon raising money for your election campaign.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When your voting record supported gun control.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you refused to disclose who donated money to your election campaign, as other candidates had done.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you received endorsements from people like Louis Farrakhan, Muammar Gaddafi, and Hugo Chavez.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When it was pointed out you were a total newcomer and you had absolutely no experience at anything except organizing protests.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you chose friends and acquaintances such as Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn who were revolutionary radicals.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When your far-left voting record in the Illinois Senate and in the U.S. Senate came into question.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When refused to wear a flag lapel pin, and did so only after pressure from the public.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When people started treating you as a messiah and liberal teachers in schools were teaching children to sing your praises.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you stood with your hands over your groin for the entire playing of the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you surrounded yourself in the White House with advisors who were pro-gun control, pro-abortion, pro-homosexual marriage and wanting to curtail freedom of speech to silence the opposition.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you publicly supported abortion, homosexuality and a host of other left-wing issues.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you said you favor sex education in kindergarten, including homosexual indoctrination.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When your past records including your grades from Occidental College and Harvard Law School were sealed up tighter than Area 51.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When your birthplace was called into question you released a birth certificate which was obviously forged and fabricated with no hard copy.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When the cold case posse found at the time of your birth in Hawaii there was a black market selling birth certificates to parents of non-citizens so their babies would be fraudulent U.S. citizens.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you had an association in Chicago with Tony Rezko, a man of questionable character and who was now in prison and had helped you to a sweet deal on the purchase of your home.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When it became known that George Soros, a multi-billionaire Marxist, spent a ton of money to get you elected.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you started appointing White House czars that were radicals, revolutionaries, and even avowed Marxist communist.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you stood before the nation and told us that your intentions were to fundamentally transform this nation into something else.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
when it became known you had trained Acorn workers how to commit voter fraud in Chicago and served as an attorney for Acorn.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed cabinet members and several advisors who were tax cheats, neo-communists, Marxists and socialists.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed a science czar, John Holdren, who believes in forced abortions, mass sterilizations and seizing babies from teen mothers.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed Cass Sunstein as regulatory czar who believes in explicit consent, harvesting human organs without family consent, and allowing animals to be represented in court, while banning all hunting.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed Kevin Jennings, a homosexual and organizer of a group called Gay, Lesbian, Straight, Education Network as Safe School czar, and it became known you had a history of bad advice to teenagers.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed Mark Lloyd as diversity czar, who believes in curtailing free speech, taking from one and giving to another to spread the wealth, who supports Hugo Chavez.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When Valerie Jarrett was selected as your senior White House advisor and she is an avowed socialist.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When White House Communications Director Anita Dunn said Marxist Mao Zedong was her favorite philosopher and the person she turned to most for inspiration.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed Carol Browner as global warming czar knowing she is a well-known socialist working on cap and trade as the nation's largest tax.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you appointed Van Jones, an ex-con and avowed communist as green energy czar, who since had to resign when this was made known.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When Tom Dashley, your pick for Health and Human Services Secretary, could not be confirmed because he was a tax cheat.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
After you were fraudulently elected President of the United States, you bowed to the King of Saudi Arabia.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you traveled around the world criticizing America and never once talking of her greatness.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When your actions concerning the Middle East supported the Palestinians over Israel, our longtime ally.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you took American tax dollars to resettle thousands of Palestinians from Gaza to the United States.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When your Social Security number was found to be issued in 1890 in Connecticut, a state you have never lived in or visited.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you raised the deficit higher than all presidents before you combined to a level so large our grandkids will not be able to pay it off.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you took a huge spending bill under the guise of stimulus and used it to pay off organizations, unions, and individuals that got you elected.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you bailed out insurance companies, car companies and banks with taxpayer dollars.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you took student loans away from banks and putting taxpayers on the hook for the failed loans when the students had no jobs after graduating.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you designed plans to take over the healthcare system and put it under government control.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you claimed you are a Christian during the election and tapes were later made public showing you speaking to a Muslim group claiming you were raised as a Muslim, were educated as a Muslim and are still a Muslim.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you set into motion a plan to take over control of all energy in the United States through cap and trade.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When it was learned Hawaii was selling birth certificates to Japanese and other parents in 1961 on the black market.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When Sheriff Arpio's cold case posse discovered your birth certificate was a forgery.
Liberals and idiots ignored this fact.
When you finally completed your transformation of America into a socialist state, people finally woke up, but it was too late. The idiot vote is tough to beat, and America has plenty of them. Good luck. Plus,